Hi, I'm Francie Black, and I've got Jehmu Greene here with me. She is president of WakaWaka in the United States. So welcome, and it's a pleasure to meet you.
Thanks so much for having me, Francie.
I really want to hear about a little bit of background on the company, but I really want to hear about the passion of the company. You guys are doing some neat things, and you've got great products that I've been able to test out. And I think it's a really neat product, but more importantly is it's helping a lot of people. And so I want to give other people the opportunity to hear about what your organization is and what you're doing. So if you can introduce us to your company.
Absolutely. WakaWaka. I love talking about WakaWaka. WakaWaka means shine bright in Swahili, and bright is exactly what we are trying to do for the 1.2 billion people around the world who have no access to electricity. WakaWaka is a company that is based in the Netherlands, and we are so thrilled to have just really launched in the United States. And we work with different non-profit organizations around the world. We work with NGOs. We work when there is a humanitarian crisis, a disaster that happens. WakaWaka is there to provide much needed solar light and power. The founding of the company, I think, is just one of the best ways to show how passionate we are about impact. The founders of WakaWaka were really wanting to find a way to green the 2010 World Cup in South Africa when they realized that it was going to be the largest carbon emitting sports event in history. They came up with an idea on how they could fix that and put a bid in. And when they won it, which was basically replacing incandescent lights with LED lights, they were so thrilled and celebrating as they drove around the townships in South Africa. It hit them that so many of the people in those communities didn't have anything that they could even plug a light bulb into or exchange for an LED light because they had no access to electricity. And that was really when the spark happened for the founders of WakaWaka, and they decided they were going to find a way to use technology and design to solve that problem.
Wow, that's great.
That was in 2010,
Okay.
and it took a little bit of time to get the technology where it is now. The WakaWaka Light and the WakaWaka Power are the world's most efficient lights and solar charging devices out there.
Okay.
And the reason for that is our founders were very, very focused and serious about getting the best premium type product into those places where if you don't have access to electricity, it's not like you can just go to a store and buy another solar product if it breaks down. This is a lifeline. It's a lifeline for parents who want to, build a business at night after the sun goes down. It's a lifeline for the young people in the home when they want to study and make sure that they are bettering themselves to help improve the economies in the villages and communities we work in. And it's a literal lifeline when you think about kerosene and the fact that if you don't have access to electricity, in many places people will use kerosene lamps, and those lamps tip over very easily. There are around 300,000 people each year who are burned, maimed, and many of them die from burn injuries. And kerosene in general, the fumes from kerosene, whether it's cooking or for light, kill more people than AIDS and malaria combined.
Oh, wow.
And that is a crisis that we are building awareness around.
Right. So describe your product. I don't know if our viewers all know exactly what your products are. So talk about those a little bit. I've got one here. I've got the solar powered charger.
The WakaWaka is, we've got two products. We have the WakaWaka Power, which Francie, you're holding up right now. It's a solar light and a USB charger. So it will charge any smartphone, any USB charged device. And if you look at it real close when the light's on, you might need to cover your eyes because it's extremely bright.
It's very bright.
You put the solar panel in the sun for about a day and a half, and it will give you a full charge. And with a full charge, you get up to 150 hours of extremely bright light, and most importantly, safe light for places that don't have access to electricity. And it will charge your phone about 1.5 times.
Wow. Okay. That's amazing. And here's a little port. I don't know if we can get that to show. So that's the USB port there for charging your mobile devices.
USB. All you have to use is the same cord that you're using to charge your iPhone, or the same cord to charge your Samsung. Goes right in there. I have been on a beach on conference calls for 6 hours straight with my WakaWaka, charging my phone because I was not going to be stuck in a hotel room.
Very good. That's smart. Well, let's talk a little bit about your humanitarian efforts. I know my understanding is that for every WakaWaka device, so either device that is purchased, there is one that your organization gives away. Is that right?
Yes, we are a buy one, give one company. Many people are familiar with Tom's Shoes, who really cornered the market with that type of model. And when you buy a WakaWaka in the U.S., we give a WakaWaka Light to the International Rescue Committee, who is on the front lines. When there is a disaster, they are there assessing the situation and providing hope for people in very, very difficult circumstances. And we want to do everything we can to make sure that you not only have the type of food and other supplies that emergency responders have to take into those situations, but you have light when the sun goes down, and you have power for families who want to call their friends and call their loved ones and say, I'm okay. Sure. Getting WakaWakas into those disaster situations as early as possible and through the International Rescue Committee has an enormous impact. And over the last 3 years, working with the International Rescue Committee and our other partners around the world, we've been able to impact over 800,000 people by getting 160,000 WakaWakas sent out around the world.
Wow, that's amazing. So can you tell me some stories about how it's impacted, either from the rescuers or from a family perspective? Do you have any short stories that you could tell or share with us?
There are so many, Francie, and that's what I think is just the best part of what we do on a day-to-day basis at WakaWaka. Whether it is the young mother who went into labor early in Burkina Faso, and she had just received her WakaWaka power about, I think, a week before she went into early labor. No one could hear her screams, and on that device that you just held up, there is an SOS function. So if you hold down the power function, it will actually start blinking SOS, and her neighbors came to her rescue. She and the baby are safe and sound, but if she had not had that WakaWaka and the SOS function, she was actually in the middle of a breech birth. And whether it's so many other stories we hear about the impact of the light on young people in the home who are able to study. When you are going to school and you want to help your family and really help bring them out of poverty, the fact that you can't even see to study what you're learning in school when the sun goes down, it has an enormous effect on how successful kids are. And we've seen pass rates quadruple in villages that we work in. We also understand that when you don't get solar light into situations as early as possible, or maybe get there too late, the impact that can have. And there was a situation in the Philippines after Typhoon Haiyan struck in 2013 where so many tent cities had to go up because so much was destroyed. Sure. And we got 22,000 WakaWaka powers to the Philippines, working again with the International Rescue Committee and Court Aid and a number of other NGOs. as we were doing an event to celebrate those 22,000 lights being delivered, we read in the paper just that day at a concert that was being held to get even more lights, that a woman who had survived with her 5 kids, had been living in a tent city for a year in Tacloban, that the night before her kerosene lamp tipped over and she and 5 of her kids perished. So we know what the impact is if we don't get our solar lights into the hands that need them most. And that's why through our buy one, give one model, it is so important to share this message and raise awareness about this issue. And as you know, Americans, we know that the power goes out and it's going to come back on.
Yeah, we complain if it's out for 10 minutes or so.
Right, but when power and light is your lifeline, it's even that much more important. In the U.S., though, there are 500,000 people a day without power. So this is also something that should be in every single person's emergency kit and in your car, because you never know when you're going to need it.
Lose power. And to have it solar is fabulous. I was down in Haiti a couple times after the earthquake and did some work down there, and I can see where this would have been phenomenal, you know, to help with some of the people that we were helping with they were living in tents, you know, all around us. It was quite a scene and quite devastating. So I can only... We sent 12,000 WakaWaka to Haiti. The first 12,000 that came off of the assembly line actually went to Haiti after the founders and CEOs of WakaWaka had a 5-minute conversation with President Clinton, and he talked about the work that he and President Bush had come together to really support rebuilding Haiti. And so our Kickstarter for the WakaWaka Power, we sent them to Haiti. Wow. Well, it needed it. It was a devastated place. It's when I was there, tents beyond tents, tent cities, just thousands of people without power and clean water, you know, basic necessities. So certainly appreciate that thought. What I know you recently ran a social media campaign. I think that's ended just recently. When you want to touch on that a little bit?
We did have a social media campaign to bring more WakaWakas to the International Rescue Committee. In June, we just honored World Refugee Day, and unfortunately, though, the numbers came out that we now have almost 60 million families that have been forcibly displaced because of civil war and persecution and conflict, and that is the highest number ever of refugees and displaced people. And so in tribute to World Refugee Day, we asked our supporters, we asked our agents of light, as we like to call them, our community, we asked them to take a picture with your eyes closed, which is something that feels odd, something that, you know, when you take a picture and your eyes closed, it's usually the one that gets deleted. But to show, you know, our unity and our empathy and solidarity with the almost 60 million people who have been displaced, take a picture, close your eyes, put it on your social media channel and tag it Now 60, and we would donate a light with no purchase. And so through that campaign, we donated 1,000 lights to the International Rescue Committee.
Thank you so much for what you're doing. You know, I review a lot of fabulous, neat gadgets, but something that has humanitarian efforts, and I really appreciate that and the work that your team is doing. You all are just getting started in the United States. You moved into your office officially last week. You're in New York City. I heard, or New York. I don't know where you are in New York. Somewhere in New York. And I heard sirens.
Right in the middle of Manhattan in New York. But
that would explain the sirens that we just heard while we were talking about.
Lots of sirens, but with WakaWaka, we want to be everywhere. And with the support that we can get in the U.S., that's going to really help us be everywhere there is a need for access to light and power.
Where can people buy WakaWakas, and what do they cost?
WakaWaka.com, WakaWaka.com. You can also go to the Apple Store online. We are thrilled to be in the Apple Store online, and we're also on Amazon. The WakaWaka Power that you're holding is retailing for $79. And our first product, the WakaWaka Light, which is a very, very powerful solar flashlight, just without the charging aspect, that retails for $39. And we look forward to bringing even more products to the market that are going to help us really tackle the issue of energy poverty around the world.
Well, thank you so much for sharing this with us. I think it's fabulous. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your innovation, and for most of all, helping other people. So thank you. It was a pleasure to meet you.
Agent of Light, Nancy.